Hello there everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Joesephyr and welcome to a bonus should you pull of sorts for Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia. Now we've had an in-game notification to tell us that we're going to be getting a renewal of the Start Dash banner on the 25th of March. So we're going to be getting this banner as a form of bringing new players into the game, giving them a banner that they can pull on that lasts for the first 7 days of playing it, but we're all going to get an opportunity to play this for a little while, to pull on this for a little while as well, and it will contain Squall, Cloud and Lightning with their full kit, so 3 LDs, 3 bursts. There's a lot to look forward to, but it is all older stuff, so not only do we get that, we get reworks and LD boards along for the ride as well. So if guys would like to find out more about what exactly happens to Squall, Cloud and Lightning and what they obtain from their LD boards, etc., then stay tuned and keep on watching. Of course, before we continue, don't forget to check out all of my social media links in the description box below. Twitch today is going to be a little bit manic because I'm getting this video out for you today so you can have a look at the Start Dash banner, but also I'm going to be streaming my Gabranth pulls because I'm in a very good boy and I haven't pulled for Gabranth yet. My DE Transcendance clears, and then the community stream as well. We're all going to do a viewing party for that so that we can all get up to speed with what's happening, and then I'm going to be making obviously the community stream recap straight after that as well. So my OO covered video for Gabranth is going to come out a little bit later than usual, but it's all in the interest of keeping everything cohesive. With regards to Patreon, I always shout out one of my patrons every time I release a video, and today that person is going to be Shia, whose title card has Thancred on it, which is a lovely one to make. I love making all of the FF14 ones. I'm sure it goes without saying that I've been obsessing over Final Fantasy 14 for quite a while now, so if you're like, big thank you to Shia for supporting the channel as much as you do, and if you guys would like a title card just like Shia has made just for you, as well as other benefits such as all of us having nice voice chats together, being part of Would You Pull and all sorts of other things like that, then perhaps consider becoming a patron yourself. Don't forget to check out all of the other content creators there are out there for Dissidia Opera Omnia and all the resources I have around me as well, all in the description box below. So thank you very much for doing that. So this video is going to be a little bit shorter than usual because there's no event that comes with this specifically. We're going to be seeing a lot more of what we're going to be getting from the community stream as well. But so in terms of the video details itself, we're just going to be going over the LD boards and the reworks in the case of one of the characters, and then the LD call abilities that the characters get as well, and how much it actually adds to their kit, and ultimately whether you should be pulling for them. So the Start Dash banner is going to contain Squall, Cloud and Lightning, and all 3 of them will have their full kits, so 15, 35, EX, LD and Burst, all on the banners. And the first thing to say about the banners before we even go into the characters is that none of these characters are bad. They're all very powerful characters. They all do very, very well as damage dealers, and the fact that you have a banner that has 3 LDs and 3 bursts on it is like unprecedented at this point in time for global, and therefore if you're missing everything on this banner, I'm going to spoil this video for you now. Yes, you should be pulling on it, but if you have some of it and not others, and missing bits and pieces, particularly the bursts, then definitely stay tuned and we'll continue through it. So in the case of Lightning doesn't actually get an awful lot out of this. Like, she gets an LD board, but as you can see down here, all it really does is make Crushing Blow a little bit more powerful, and so that you get some of your bravery back from the first HP damage attack, and then you get a slightly harder hitting second one. But ultimately, Lightning didn't need an awful lot. Lightning was really powerful to begin with, and like, as you've seen with many, many clears over the course of the last few months, ever since she was released with her LD and Burst, she wrecks content. And there's a lot of content that she continues to wreck going forward as well. Like, as a single target sort of boss monster, she is monstrous, exactly that. So honestly, even though she doesn't get an awful lot out of this, she's still a really powerful character. And then in terms of her LD call, like, we've had Spark Strike before now, where Spark Strike is just an attack. It doesn't do an awful lot. You get some bravery gen out of it. Crushing Blow has the re-break on it, so you get the cancel all enemies break and then you re-break them with the attack. And it also inflicts thunder resist down, which could be useful, but by and large, if you're using thunder damage, you've probably already got a Thunder Imperil in your kit. And it's just, again, it's a hard-hitting attack that has re-break on it. So Lightning by far gets the least out of the new stuff when it comes to this particular banner. But that's not to say that she's not good still, because she really is. And she, like, even going forward into like Garland's era, she can still be really useful then. So honestly, don't pass up on it, Lightning, if you have her, if you don't have her already. Cloud's LD board, he gets a little bit more out of it than Lightning does. He gets a new special effect off of casting his LD, or when he hits with a critical hit, called Cloudy Wolf, which increases his offensive stats and also gives him HP damage up by 20%. So just by having the LD, his HP damage has gone up by 20%. Now, this is really relevant because a lot of Cloud's kit has multiple HP dumps in it, particularly Finishing Touch, and the best way to increase the exponential damage for a multi-hitting Brave dump is to increase the amount of percentage damage that damage is going to do. Because if Finishing Touch is going Brave HP, Brave HP, Brave HP, then you can only deal so much damage with that one bravery attack. So increasing the HP damage by percentile damage is going to massively improve his damage capabilities. In a way, it's really sad that we've gotten this banner a little bit later than JP got it, because they had it in time for DE Transcendance. And for like one of the Crucibles, Cloud is blue and has launch in it, so the fact that you don't have that like right away is kind of sad. But if you're willing to wait for a few days and you already have Cloud, then you could easily go back and finish Transcendance with Cloud, because that extra HP damage is massive. And then Blade Beam becomes a double HP dump, which is always welcome. It's a massive deal for him. And like just have it, especially in combination with the HP up. But again, Cloud didn't really need all that much. Cloud was just a decent character. Like, he's launch, he's got paralysis, he's got a like really powerful burst. He's got a lot of things going for him already. So if you didn't already have him, then, you know, he's a great character to grab. And if you want more details on exactly what Lightning, Cloud and Squall do, then by all means go back to my Should You Pull videos for those characters, and then you can learn more about the details from them on there. And then with regards to his LD call, I actually really like his LD call because it sets up his other call. Like Blade Beam having a 2-turn delay on it, it's got splash damage on it, but the fact that you get the 2-turn delay means that you're setting up for Finishing Touch to be a almost guaranteed full launch. That's actually really nice, and it's good damage as well. So the fact that you have an LD call for him at all increases his value quite a lot. Like, he's one of these characters where his burst effect isn't really that great, but if you have his burst, this is the one where you're doing as much damage as you physically can during a burst. And therefore, if you're taking characters like Kais in a team, characters that like launches, but you don't necessarily want to take Cloud because you want to take Kais with maybe like Paladin Cecil and or Dark Knight Cecil or anything like that, and you don't necessarily want to use Cloud because he's a bit slow, then his LD call and regular call can be very helpful for that. However, the big winner in this banner is actually Squall. Now, Squall, when he came out, was like the first burst and LD character. He had a lot of hype based around him then because he was the first, but ultimately he became very underwhelming very quickly because all he really did was damage. And AoE damage, his skill uses, he didn't get that many of them. The LD itself was alright, but it didn't really do an awful lot. And now he gets a rework, he gets like his LD boards, and they transform him. Like, they are huge deals for him. So first things first, let's go into the rework and see what he actually gets from that. So Solid Barrel gets an extra 2 uses in it, which is huge. It also gets splash damage on it, either whether you're using the regular version or the plus version, but being realistic, you're always going to be using the plus version, because while you have these buffs up, like a Solitary Lion, then you're never going to not use the plus version. But it also becomes a double HP dump as well. So instead of it being a 5-hit Brave HP attack, it's a 4-hit Brave HP attack, and then a single target Brave HP attack that restores some bravery from the first lot. Again, the fact that if you can compound this with HP damage percentage ups or bravery damage limit breaks, then it's going to make a big deal for him. So then with his Reintroducing, he actually gets 3 extra skill uses from it, going from +1 to +4, which is a massive deal. And he's also got a little bit more Brave Overflow on it. But the main focus for Reintroducing was just the fact that it had a massive amount of damage for AoE. It's 100% damage across the board on a skill, which is quite unusual, or it certainly was at the time that it came out, and it's a big deal for him. And then Squall's LD boards. Now, Squall's LD boards really elevate him, like, a lot. And he is just a damage dealer, that hasn't changed, but my god, the amount of damage this guy can churn out after this point is really, really strong. So Rough Divide gets stronger, which is nice. It also gives an additional effect to Roaring Hammer, which is the effect that he gets that increases his Brave Overflow and his attack stat. It now increases his HP damage dealt by 20%, which again compounds really nicely with the fact that you have all of these multi-HP dumping attacks. Like his EX benefits from this really well as well. Like Assault Trigger is a multi-brave dump attack, so having the HP damage limit increased, having the percentage damage increased, that adds up to that as well. You also now start with the effect that you would have gotten from his LD, so Roaring Hammer. He starts with this the whole time, so this levels up to make his attack stat higher. He does a lot of extra damage. It really does make a huge difference to it because it means you're not having to ramp up to the third stack quite so much. And if you have the burst, you'll be able to maintain this for a very long time. And then the big bit is while Roaring Hammer is active, which is gonna be for a long time, you get a follow-up attack after any HP attack that is a 5-hit AoE Brave single target HP with 50% splash damage. This is a lot. Like, the fact that you get the Rough Divide attack off of everything is huge. The attack itself is still stronger, so you'll still get more hits from the LD attack itself, but you will follow it up with another version of it. So you're going to get a follow-up attack that does like a massive amounts of damage already. The fact that he gets 20% extra percentage damage on top of it is going to add up really well. He just churns out damage like a monster. During his burst, if you have that, he's going to get this follow-up during every single one of these turns. So his damage potential literally jumps through the roof. So it's not something to stare at and nothing to sniff at. It really does elevate him into a real contender for this point in time. And then finally, taking a quick look through his LD call, or his regular call as well, because he actually wasn't even level 80 until this point, because he came out before Lightning came out and had her level 80. But Reintroducing and Rough Divide as a call ability, it's not one you're likely to bring along with you. Cloud, not Lightning, nor Squall have like debuffs when they come in, so what you see is what you get when it comes to these call abilities, and Squall just does more of what he does, which is damage. AoE damage. He has Reintroducing, which is the plus version of itself, so it does 100% AoE damage, and then Rough Divide is an 8-hit Brave HP attack like his LD that does 80% damage to non-targets. You get a bit of attack up and a bit of max Brave up, and it lasts for 6 turns, but that's kind of it. So you're not really going to take the call ability along with you, but the chances are, as a damage dealer, you don't get much better than Squall right now, so you're probably just going to take him in your main party anyway. And then with high armor, because again, he didn't have this like beforehand, the Squall, Lightning, and Cloud all have the attack keystone, and they're all going to want it as well, because, like I said, multiple HP dumps, and all 3 of these characters have them, want that damage limit break, because it is the best way of increasing damage after the first HP damage attack. Because when you do, so if you're doing 15,000, like 15,000 damage, or like the 11,500 damage, I had to get the numbers right in my head there, I kept saying it and kept getting it wrong. If you're doing 11,500 damage rather than 10,000 per bravery hit, then that damage is going to add up because you have to build up from 0 again to get to where you were. So then having multiple HP dumps with damage limit break and percentile damage is way better than just increasing the attack stat if you want all that damage to come from that. So when it comes to the big question of whether you should pull on this banner or not, and we're going to skip straight to the should you pull portion because there is no event that coincides with this, it depends entirely on your situation. Speaking from a personal standpoint, the only weapon I am missing from this badge is Lightning's Burst. I am not going to be pulling on this banner for Lightning's Burst. However, if you are a newer player, or if you perhaps skipped Lightning, Cloud and Squall for whatever reason and don't have anything on this banner, it's a phenomenal banner, purely based on numbers. There are 3 bursts available, 3 LDs. There's just so much you can get because the rates aren't like, they're not divided across them, they are additive. So as opposed to like 1 in 200 tickets getting an LD, no matter who it is, it's now 3 in 200. So the chances of you getting something are really good. However, I very strongly suggest against going into this banner thinking you're going to get everything, because it's so... It would cost you a fortune unless you had the luck of the gods. Because like I said, there's 3 LDs, there's 3 bursts, So it can get out of hand really quickly and you can drain all your resources, and this banner is not the be-all and end-all. There are lots of really strong banners coming up in the future, even as of like the next banner that we're expecting for Global, which is Emperor and Sellers. Sellers is fantastic, and then following her is Aerith, who is also fantastic. So while these characters now with their LD boards, particularly Squall, are hugely elevated and they're brought way up to where they should be, especially Squall, who you can use any of these characters for quite some time. Like I said with Lightning, like she's used for a long while even without much in the way of what she gets from the LD boards, but Squall can be used for a long time as well. Cloud as well gets a lot out of this, like that 20% HP damage up is going to be really valuable to him going forward, and he's got a lot going for him. But what I would suggest is to target one character that you know you want. Like, I'm going to use Squall as the example here because I think he is the clear front runner of the three. And see how you feel pulling for just his LD, not his burst. At the end of the day, bursts can be acquired by other means, like burst tokens. Burst tokens exist for a reason. Whereas LDs, you can't pull any other way. So if you want to use those characters, you're going to want their LDs. So my suggestion is to hone in on one character that you know you want. I'll use Squall as the example. Pull for his LD. If you get either of the other two, fantastic. Like, brilliant. But try to stick to your guns and go, I'm pulling for Squall. And if you get him, leave. Like, you don't need all three of these characters. They're all damage dealers. They all fulfill the same role. They all, like, maybe slight variations on it, like Lightning is more single target based and Squall is more AoE based, but by and large they're damage dealers and they will all fulfill that job very well, so you don't need all three of them. So there's a lot of things to be worth saving for in the future. I will also note though that this banner does not last very long if we're going by JP standards. The banner is designed for new players coming in and going, oh okay, they will give them a week to pull on this banner, and then that way they can kind of start with a starter kit with popular characters. And therefore it only lasted for a week when it came out in JP. This could change for Global, we don't know just yet. But like I said, make your decisions on what you're aiming for beforehand and try to stick to your guns as best you can and not be tempted by other people who happen to have all three of them. Because they may have gotten them earlier, they may not have gotten them from this. A lot of us are going to be sitting here with like duplicates of them, and if you have all three of the LDs on here, I wouldn't pull here. Like, I think that honestly, bursts are a luxury, even now. Like, even with Transcendance and the fact that like they ask for bursts for synergy, there are ways of getting them elsewhere. You're not necessarily going to have to go for bursts here, but if you're gonna go for one, then this is a good banner to do it on, and you don't maybe have very many of them because there's three of them on the banner. So by the numbers, it's a great banner, but if you're looking forward to future banners, don't feel bad if you don't get everything here. So then lastly, let's go into Would You Pull, the section of the video where you, the viewers, get your chance to make your voice heard and let us know whether you would or wouldn't pull on any given banner, and of course why. Now this one is pretty split across the board. Now I think that again, this is going to come down to entirely where people are within the game, whether they have some of these items already, whether they don't need any of them because they're really happy with their damage dealers and stuff. Like, I honestly think that Paladin Cecil should still be a major priority for people because he covers so much, but if you have his LD even and not his burst, and you don't have Squall, then maybe you might want to consider pulling here. It's all a very personal situation with this particular event. Now, to go into the numbers for how people have voted, 50% of people said no on this banner, and again, I do think that that comes down to the fact that a lot of people who follow, who are on my Patreon, have been on this, been on the game for a while, and therefore have a lot of the stuff that's on these banners already. But not everyone. That doesn't necessarily speak to everybody, because for the first time, like, split very evenly across the board. 17% of people said that they were going to use less than 100 tickets. 17% said more than 100 tickets, and 17% said gems as well. So to go into some of the comments, Lil May Rose says, I'm absolutely pulling on this banner, given that the only character out of the entire set I have is Cloud. I don't even have Squall's EX, so it's a great banner for me to catch up with, especially with how useful Lightning is with just her LD. Her burst would be even better. I like the attitude of how useful Lightning would be with her LD, and her burst would just be icing on the cake, because that's how everyone should kind of treat it. I don't have Lightning's burst. I didn't have Lightning's burst when it came out. I just had her LD, and she carried me with just that for a very long time. Were there situations where her burst would have made things easier? Yeah, absolutely. but I didn't need it at any given point. It's like, and I've not missed a single piece of content so far with it, even though I don't have it. And that's how I think people should feel about bursts in general. The LDs are what you should be targeting, not necessarily the bursts. Tyro says, I have everything on the banner with the exception of Squall's burst, which I have no desire to go after, so I myself will be skipping this banner. This is very much the same situation as me, except instead of Squall, it's Lightning. I actually already have Squall, and therefore I'm very excited to be able to pull him out and start using him again. Because I got his burst while I was pitying a Mid-Italian, and I wasn't even that fussed about having it at that point because I knew Squall wasn't going to last that long. So now it's kind of a full circle moment for me personally, and going, oh, now I have a reason to use him again, because he really is very powerful. Gino Jiraiya says, I'll be pulling because I didn't get Squall's LD weapon when it first came out. Plus, his rework will definitely come in clutch for me in future content, so I'll definitely toss a few tickets at this for sure. Again, tickets for LDs is fine. I think tickets for bursts is like a mistake, because the chance of you actually getting a burst from a ticket is 1 in 1,000. It's not likely. With bursts, again, I've said it earlier and I'll say it again, there are other ways of acquiring bursts. You accumulate burst tokens for a reason, they're there to be used. Even if you don't spend money on the game and you're completely free to play. We are at the kind of time now where you can pick up a burst if you've just been clearing chaos challenges. So there are other ways of getting them, and they're just additive onto what you already have. It's just a nice thing to have. Going forward, like way months into the future, yeah, bursts are going to be more sort of relevant and more like prevalent to current content, but as things are right now, there's a lot of content that you can clear without a lot of them. And then finally, Goose says, all great units to pick up if you're missing them. Squall is the obvious headline here, being catapulted up from obscurity to the upper echelons of the roster, but the others remain strong. Kais helps Cloud retain a powerful niche as a premium DPS launchers with good delay and consistent paralysis, and a great burst window, and Lightning's delay and re-break shenanigans work beautifully with the upcoming Emperor update, and would make skipping Aranea a much easier prospect. The only downside is most people probably already have a lot of this already, but as someone who started at Xander, this banner looks like great value. Honestly, as someone who started at Xander, that was worded beautifully. Like, so big thank you for that comment. Like, I think that it absolutely correct. Like, there's not a word out of place there. I think that if you've got, like, maybe if you have Kais, then Cloud looks more appealing. If you're not that interested in Aranea's like upcoming thing, where her main shtick is re-breaking, and she re-breaks a lot, but you already have Lightning, then you don't need Aranea nearly as much. And then Squall is obviously, like, I mean, as I've said earlier, Squall is just damage, and like just sort of uppercutting with his gunblade over and over and over again, and his damage goes through the roof. But he is just a damage dealer. Like, so if you don't have him or you're low on resources, he's really, really powerful. But you are going to find that there are other characters later down the line that can fill his role. And like, if you've got Paladin Cecil, he kind of covers like a lot of bases for you. And if you just want a damage dealer, then this banner is perfect for you. Otherwise, it's not that big a deal if you miss it. So in conclusion, at the end of this video, like I said, if you're missing most or all of this banner, it's a fantastic banner to pick up a premium damage dealing unit. It's fantastic for it. If you've got at least one of these characters fully built, it's a lot less pressing. If it's Squall that you have and you don't have the other two, then you definitely don't need it as much. So like, don't go into this banner thinking you're going to get everything, because it's just foolhardy and you'll end up using so many of your resources that you could use on future characters down the line. But anyways, that's the end of this video. Thank you very much for all of your comments and votes from Patreon. Don't forget to comment down below and let me know which of the characters you have already and which ones you actually want from this banner, and let me know how you feel about the banner as a whole. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and click the bell for notifications for any future videos I might be making, and I will hopefully see you guys in a couple of hours after this video goes live over on Twitch for my Gabranth pulls, my DE Transcendance clears, and of course the community stream viewing party as well. So thank you all very much for joining me, and I shall see you then. Take care.